Are you guys ready to let your hair down and have a little fun, for Christ's sake?
Oh, I sure am.
Enough of the serious business. We got some fun to get to, and I didn't put it in the title or anything because I wanted it to be a fun surprise. That we're talking a little Stuttering John today, because I was on Point Dabble Point and I had to do my background research, but I don't know if you know this, Craig. Did you watch that at all when I was on there?
Did not.
So Keanu Thompson, who was married to Gino Bisconti. You remember when we spoke about John so eloquently discussing his masturbation to Keanu?
Correct.
Well, now he's in a war with her, saying she was never attractive.
Oh, good.
And she's a cunt because she said, sometimes I have to talk to John like he's a kindergartner, which I think is actually a pretty fair assessment of someone who said, Keanu, when you wear those tight leather pants, I crank my pecker to you. I think it's fair to equate them to a child,
Right.
But John didn't see it that way. But I was going to talk about it on Point Devil Point, so I was just listening for that. But a couple of different things caught my attention as I was doing my research. And one of them is that John had an opportunity, a career opportunity, that he's never mentioned, which seems rare for him.
Now you can tell he really means it, and it actually happened. By the way, he looks at this up to the sky and goes, and tries to think of what to say next.
It feels very genuine. David, you're good at reading people. I want you to tell us how genuine you think this offer was when he tells us what his career opportunity that evidently he turned down was.
Okay.
You want that clip first there?
Yeah, please.
Oh, he looks nice.
You into the fiber. You a judge of Last Comic Standing. Ha ha.
Oh no, hold on. Whoa. The one before this. We gave it away, but Jesus.
It was the job, so that's why I thought you meant that one. Just Judge John here.
That's correct, yes.
Okay.
Gosh, I wonder what this is going to be about.
My fault.
Trust me, it doesn't matter. You're a loser. You've never done anything.
Talking about Keanu.
Keanu sent him $5 and he's treating her like this.
No. Not only sent him $5, apologized.
Yeah, cool.
Said, John, you're right. I probably shouldn't have talked about you in that way. Now, I would say it was simply, but she said the same thing about her husband. Right. She goes, I'm good at quelling douchebaggery, and then referenced her husband, Gino Bisconti.
Ultimately,
so, I don't think it's that much of a shot, but John took it as much like he did with us with Why You Laughing. Remember when he said Why You Laughing was a great show?
Yes.
And then the next day, said it was terrible because he heard out of context us say something about Artie Lang.
Right.
Where I said he wasn't as big a figure on the show as Artie Lang, which is just,
factual.
I don't think there's more of a fact.
Oh, you don't think he'd heard Hack Ride calling you the next Howard Stern and that swayed his opinion?
That could be possible.
He said, I don't like this next Howard Stern I'm hearing about.
Well, actually, he might latch on if he hears that.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That might have been overselling me a little bit. So that's fair. But I don't know if there's more, like if you said the date and time today, I think that's less of a fact than Artie Lang being a bigger figure on the Howard Stern show than Stuttering John. It's just true. So I don't know why he took such offense to that, but it's because he hears what he wants to hear. He hears insults, even when they're not there necessarily. He's getting insults all the time, so he's just used to it. But this is, Keanu apologizing him and paying him for the privilege.
Tiny Chud in the chat says, there's no, quote, Stuttering John era, but there is a Jackie era and an Artie era. That's all you need to know.
Oh, you don't think of the 90s as the Stuttering John era of Howard Stern?
Sure do not, no.
That's how everyone thinks of it, I think.
Trust me, it doesn't matter. You're a loser. You've never done anything. You stand up is horrible.
It's weird. It's so weird. He wasn't saying that when he was jerking off to her.
He's like, you're so funny. Oh,
that's odd to me.
Let her lay down.
When he was I like that, David.
That one caught him right in the side, right there.
when he was trying to fuck Keanu, let's make no mistake about it. That's exactly what he was trying to do. He was trying to fuck a married woman. while also having the husband on the show at various points. But he wanted to fuck Keanu, so it's weird. He never mentioned his opinion of her stand-up. That's very odd.
Just her appearance. It was just a long ploy to just hopefully one day have one over on Gino.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't want to tell you, but I'm telling you now. You know, I was going to be a judge on Last Comic Standing.
What?
Yeah, I had the offer in front of me. And believe me, after that shit show, you would not even make it. You would be gone, and they wouldn't even show video of you.
I like that he's already mapped out his strategy as a judge. Believe you me, my judging technique wouldn't have allowed you.
Be judging from the editing bay.
I would love so much for John's career to be different. Have him be on Last Comic Standing just so we could watch him be better than and suck at stand-up still.
But John is the caliber that would be a contestant on Last Comic Standing. I'm not joking. Like, I'm sure he'll take great offense to that or something. But like Rich Voss, Ralphie May, Gary Gulman, Todd Glass, Kathleen Madigan, when these people were on Last Comic Standing, they were, I mean, significantly more seasoned comedians than John was.
You're forgetting a big name from that show.
Friend
of the program.
No, I'm not.
Amy Schumer?
No, but like the names that auditioned for that show, a lot of them, like Dat Fan, sure.
There it is.
Was a nobody trying comedy. But a lot of people that made it on that show were like established, and Mike wasn't Mike DiStefano on there. Like a lot of established people made it onto that show.
Mm-hmm.
And John certainly doesn't have the stand-up resume. He's always talking about credits and resumes. He certainly doesn't have the resume. Playing a tape of you on Howard Stern and then saying, "Ladies and gentlemen, Nick DiPaolo," does not make you a stand-up comedian.
That'd be so great, though, if he was up there and he'd be like, "Rich Voss, this is why you're terrible."
Joe List, you're never going to be anything. But like, look, the judges on that show, I mean, Greg Giraldo, Norm Macdonald, like Roseanne, fucking Keenan Ivory Wayans, like these were big names.
Yeah.
Stuttering John was not going to be a judge on that. Let's hear him finish up his berating of Keanu here, but
and they wouldn't even show video of you. You're not that hot. You're not that smart, and you're certainly an idiot.
Took him a second to come up with that word.
Well said.
So Keanu's picture's on the screen. Attractive woman. John,
of course. That's why we didn't even. I don't think we covered. Like we talked about John talking about jerking off to her. I don't think we talked about him saying it to her. Did we?
Yes, we did. I thought
maybe I can't remember if we did or not. But so I apologize if I'm repeating something here. But there was a point where he's saying to Keanu, he's describing the act as if it happened. By the way.
Oh, I don't think we covered it. We talked about him doing it.
He said, "So you get on top of me and you're riding me," and Keanu's like, "Okay."
Jesus Christ.
And Keanu was a good sport about it. She was like, "Oh, thanks, John. I take it as a compliment." Like,
totally.
He was about as good a sport as you could be.
Truly a different generation, huh?
I suppose so. Yeah, it really is where John thinks he's Howard Stern, but like I said on Point Devil Point the other day, there was a charm to what Howard was doing. As much as, you know, the people that hated Howard were like, "Oh, he's a grotesque pig." The reason he got away with that is because he was charming in a way. And he was also self-deprecating, and you knew that he was not an aggressive guy in real life, you know? Whereas John feels dangerous to me. Like, John feels like someone, if you were in a room with, would be a problem.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's the gross part about him saying stuff like this.
Have you ever seen like any of those shows where they're like solve murder? Like I think one's called See No Evil. They solve murders by using like closed caption television that's everywhere. Like security cameras. I can absolutely see him being one of the guys they catch. Like, no,
What do you mean?
This is the guy. I was never there. Like,
You better watch out. You're about to be sued, my friend.
I could see it. I'm saying I didn't say he did. I said I could see it.
I'll rephrase. You're about to be in a year's worth of threats of a lawsuit.
Oh, I mean, if this Keanu woman ever goes missing, everyone knows where to look. Allegedly,
You should suspect John, certainly, if Keanu goes missing. Yeah, that doesn't mean he did it.
I didn't say he did.
No. I'm agreeing with you. I'm saying maybe started his house.
Right.
There will be a trail.
Check the trunk for the pool of blood. It's all
Just greasy fingerprints and spills of Coors Light along the way.
I was gonna say there's Miller Lite cans crushed everywhere. Whatever he's drinking, Mick Ultra.
All right. So now we know.
What I'd
go
pay
ahead.
to see this guy next to Roseanne Barr on a judging table.
Roseanne, I don't agree with your points about President Donald Trump. However, you're making some good points here.
If you get me on this show, I'll change who I vote for.
Oh, John would sell out that if Fox News called Stuttering John.
Yeah.
Bye-bye, Democrat Party. he would lose Richard Ojetta's phone number toot sweet.
I'm going to be a Trump cabinet member.
Donnie, you remember me from the Stern Show?
I'll be your secretary of laughs.
Oh, they go way back.
That was
all right.
Amazing. Trump just had him as a jester.
I like this guy. He's funny.
Yeah.
Makes me laugh.
Go ask the Supreme Court justices some questions. All right, I'm on it.
Do you like Donald Trump's butt cheese? No, Senator Melendez.
I love that.
Did you have a fart in the first lady's face?
He's just got an untucked dress shirt and a loose tie walking through the Capitol.
I hope they make him Secretary of Education.
AOC, let me tell you about how I jerked off to you last night.
Excuse me, Senator, what did you do with the money? The money the taxpayers gave you. I can't help it. He makes me laugh.
I need this so bad. John Melendez, funny guy, John Melendez.
Not too funny, but he is funny.
I like to throw my McDonald's wrappers at him and say, eat it up.
So we have learned he was offered last comic standing. And Stuttering John's chat is awfully astute. Because I thought to myself, that claim doesn't pass muster. I don't know if that's true. And it seems at least one good Samaritan in the chat held his feet to the fire on this. So, John, I don't know if that's right.
You, thanks to the fiber, you a judge of last comic standing. Ha ha ha! Your lies and losers are what make you funny. By the way, where'd your neck go? It's right over here. So it's right.
It's funny to have to address that. It's right over here.
Johnny Fatneck, that's what we call him.
By the way, this is an hour later in his show. Listen how much drunker he sounds.
Oh, yeah.
After, I don't know, 3 Michelob Ultras.
That we saw.
No, but I'm just saying, it's like, it doesn't take a lot to fucking get this guy inebriated.
That's not good.
Carl's Frosted Tips, $2. John works hard to have no friends. Their day too.
That's the interesting thing, is a guy that wants friendship so badly, you would think would kind of cling to like, oh, listen, hey, Keanu, you almost think he'd be like you got to credit him for not being a pussy, I guess. Because you would think he'd be like, hey, like Keanu kind of made fun of me, but I need at least one friend in this world.
Hey, Mr. Trump, there was a second plane.
Oh, the kids heard me. Whoops.
Your dad was on that flight, kid.
Hey, listen, it's not my fault the kids heard about the tragedy. You asked me to say anything if it happens.
I need this to be like a television show or something now.
You got Matt and Trey to bring back That's My Bush.
Yeah.
With Stuttering John and Donald Trump.
No, Mr. President, I'll throw out the first pitch. I got this.
I was a baseball player in high school.
Oh no, they actually were going at when I was at NBC as a,
Okay. So
Sorry, someone just said, Mr. President, there's been a terrible tragedy. Also, have you seen the movie Swordfish?
to try and describe it to you. What happened is very similar to Swordfish.
It was Hack Ride. I didn't even read who said it. Very funny Hack.
So just so you have the proper mindset for this clip. John just said, we heard him say, I had the offer in front of me to be a judge for Last Comic Standing.
Yep.
Now, with that said, listen to this story.
the announcer. They needed a one of the judges, and I was about to go fly out there, and then the person who had canceled, they got back. I don't know if it was Amy Schumer, it was somebody.
Hold on, just to be clear, Amy Schumer was a contestant on the show, right? I don't think she canceled.
Mr. President,
Sorry, I can't make it this week.
my attention to detail will be great for the White House.
Yeah, you remember in American Idol when Kelly Clarkson was like, guys, you're going to have to find a substitute for me. I'm not making it this week.
Buddy, and then they brought whoever, and they said, no, she didn't cancel, so they didn't need me last minute.
Boy, does whatever that gibberish was sound a lot different than being offered a judge spot on Last Comic Standing. John made it seem like it was going to be him and Norm Macdonald up there, riffing with Anthony Jeselnik.
I'm just thinking of Trump giving a State of the Union and Stuttering John yelling Baba Booey like 6 rows back. Like, I need this to happen.
That's my friend John. He's a bit of a wise guy.
I keep him around. He makes me laugh. I like to put a blonde wig on him, and I call him Hillary Clinton.
Former President Biden, is your refrigerator running? I do prank calls for the White House now.
That red emergency phone, Stuttering John's desk is right next to it. Yeah, can I help you?
They told me I'm not supposed to press this, but
I like the way it feels on my finger. I keep pushing it.
Me and Mitch McConnell were tossing the nuclear football around today.
Mitch McConnell got his hand on my Coke, and he can't move when he does that.
All right. Now, David Collins, you're a fan of stand-up comedy, yes?
A lot of people know this about me now. I actually am a big fan of comedy.
Okay. I think you're going to know this guy's name, but it might take you a while to get there. Craig, same thing. I think you're going to know who this is that John is referring to. But as we go, I would like we're going to stop it at times, and I'm going to get your guesses on to who John could be talking about here. John has a new feud with a guy that has not been thought of in the Dabbleverse, really.
Interesting.
This is not a name that's come up a lot, but John is now in a spat with him.
Chris D'Elia.
And no, not Chris D'Elia.
Brendan Schaub.
No, I would actually go down the comedy totem pole.
Jordan
believe it or not.
Jensen. That would be a fair feud.
It'd be fair. That's Joe Matarice's rival these days. But
Joe Matarice is such a loser.
before you guys waste any more guesses,
Okay,
let's play you some evidence here.
And I mean, Major, I had a question for you just right before you go. Is that I had this guy, and I know you could appreciate this because getting back to you,
Army Major right now is like, God damn it, we got through a political show, and he still wants to drag me. Oh, what did the shitwayer do, John?
My wife's panties are blue today, John.
Okay, yeah, no, Lady K is probably closeted. You're right. No, his wife is old. Yes.
Does Richard live in a museum?
Those are all his
What-
awards and shit from when he served.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now he's sitting with John.
Now he's sitting with John.
Poor Richard. So Richard almost escaped unscathed, and I think you're going to see Brian Karam as well, who might be the least funny man on the planet. He
No,
is terrible. But here's John trying to drag Richard Ojeda into his world.
I had a question for you just right before you go. Is that I had this guy, and I know you could appreciate this because getting
No, we
back to
can't.
you talking about, how that I'm a cool guy, right? There was this unknown comedian.
Hold on.
You want to hear
I'm
this?
sorry. I don't know what we missed, but he's like, how we were just talking about me being a really cool guy.
I'm a real cool guy.
What a terrible show that sounds like.
He does look like that he's been swinging his hair.
That's true. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, people have been commenting on his hair lately. Maybe that was the discussion as to how cool John was. Richard, how you think I'm really cool?
He thinks he looks like friggin' Uncle Jesse right now.
Have mercy.
Brian, if you want to hear this, I didn't know that it, I don't know if you want, but I'd love to get your opinion if you guys want. But so I have this guy, and Brian, you've done, fucking stand up. This guy was a nobody.
For years. Yeah.
So I saw him he had like a 3-second, one joke on Last Comic Standing, but he didn't make it in.
Oh, he was scouting Last Comic Standing years before being a judge, apparently.
I go
That's
to
all
a
he
show.
talks about.
Now just hear.
How often do you want us to pause and guess?
Well, you know what? Go back a little bit. But yeah, so now we have the hint. John saw him on Last Comic Standing. He barely made it, but John just saw a 3-second clip on there. Any guesses?
One
it-
joke, 3 seconds. I would have to just guess Anthony Jeselnik, I suppose.
Okay, that's not a bad guess. He's related to Last Comic Standing. Craig, any guesses?
Rich Voss?
You guys are thinking, way too big.
Oh my god. Are we gonna know the name?
Yes, absolutely. But you're not in the same hemisphere of success,
Oh.
even with Rich Voss.
The chat is guessing, so I might be ruined now.
Okay, well, keep it to yourself, but let's continue.
Doug Benson?
Was he?
Not Doug Benson.
I'll give a hint to see if they're right.
Okay.
Did he do a podcast with someone?
Well, he's about to talk about a podcast that he did, so that's another hint.
Okay.
Fucking stand up. This guy was a
For
nobody.
years. Yeah.
So I saw him he had like a 3-second, one joke on Last Comic Standing, but he didn't make it in. I see it, right? And I'm going to get into it. And then I go to a show. Now just hear me out.
We're listening.
I put him on my tour when I was on the Howard Stern show.
Oh.
I get him to be a guest on Howard Stern, the biggest fucking show
Okay.
in history.
True.
Then when I get the Tonight Show, I fly him out on my own dime.
Bullshit.
I pay for the flight. I put him up.
Oh, you
I get
didn't.
him an audition from my agent, which he passes. I get him an audition for the comedy bookers at the Tonight Show. And I open for him at the Improv for his showcase.
Okay.
And he
Pause
gets
real quick. So, David, I don't know if you've seen the chat. Can I trust you to make a guess here?
Ant?
Comedian Ant?
This is a tough game. There's so many contestants.
Yeah, I don't know if Ant was ever on the Howard Stern show.
I believe
no,
he
I don't
was.
know. Craig, I know you know, but just try and base it on the facts.
Austin
Who might
Ingalls.
you think it is?
Austin Ingalls.
It's not Austin Ingalls.
Oh, okay. Shout out. Shout out to the Iceman, Austin Ingalls.
Well, based on these facts, I would think maybe like Jim Florentine, Nick DiPaolo, someone like that. Someone that was on Stuttering John and Friends, then was on the Stern Show and the Tonight Show. It would have to be a name in that realm, but we persist.
The chat is positive it's this person, and this can't be right.
Shut up, chat. dicks. I wanted to play a game here.
Maybe it's not. They just all convinced.
Okay. Well, maybe.
Rob Cantrell?
Not Rob Cantrell. No, you're in the right hemisphere though.
And he's on the wall at the Tonight Show. Now, cut to, he gets a show with Artie Lang.
Okay.
Gets a show with Artie Lang. Maybe I was right with Nick DiPaolo.
Okay.
Huh?
Okay.
Gets a show with Artie Lang.
Oh my god.
So maybe it's Nick DiPaolo. Maybe, you know what? Probably not someone as big as Nick DiPaolo. Maybe it's Joe Matt. That's why we're playing it, right? It's probably Joe Matarese.
Yes.
No. If we could actually dig lower.
Oh god.
Blanks me. Finally, when the Artie Lang show ends, and he hates Artie, then he comes on my show and goes, I go, why did you not text me back? I was embarrassed. Okay. I go, don't ever let it happen again. Now cut to now, Brian, and I'm Major. Then this guy, you know, I asked him to come on my show. He goes, okay, so we book a date. Then he cancels on me because he's doing this other show. Then he books it for the next day. Then he makes up an excuse.
This is why I love him. I got to keep him around. Nothing he says makes sense.
I mean, he's going at it with local city council members.
Instead, his computer is out. So then we make it on Friday. Then on Friday, he says he has an audition and he doesn't want to blow it. So then I go, okay, when could you do it? He goes, next Thursday. So then I go, okay. And then
Ojetta is so fucking mad right now.
John, I was out. I said goodbye.
Why am I still here?
I did my plugs. I very graciously bid you farewell. Now let me leave. I don't care. I don't give a fuck about this.
Well, quick question, Richard. Let me ask you something. Let me start 20 years ago here.
Yeah, exactly. Richard, quick question. My days on the Howard Stern show. Yeah, that great point, David. John has spanned well over a decade in this story now.
Oh, two, probably.
Much more like two, yeah.
See him on the other show. So he didn't have time to do my show because he had this big audition, but he does another show. So all I'm asking you guys, can you imagine?
Army Major, I need you to stay. You're the only person that no matter what has my back. Please sit.
For some reason, no matter how rude I am to you and your wife.
I want to tongue your wife's box, but can we ignore that for a second?
I'm putting that aside, Richard. I'm not even mentioning fucking your wife. That's how important this story is to me.
I'm not going to mention sniffing her panties once the rest of this program.
I'm beginning to believe that Stuttering John and Richard Ojetta's relationship is just based on some monkey paw situation Richard got himself in years ago.
It seems that way. I don't know what Richard possibly gets out of it, but he is fiercely loyal to John. So good for him for some reason. John is about to reveal who the name is. So, don't let the chat spoil it. Maybe they're wrong. It sounds like it's a pretty big get. This guy gets auditions. He's on major radio shows and podcasts and television shows. So it's a name. I mean, it's a name, to say the least.
That I go out of my way, both from my bottom of my heart and dip into my wallet and do all this for this guy.
You know I don't do that.
And this guy sticks it to me twice. And just like GW so eloquently said, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, we won't get fooled again. So
first off, that guy, whoever this is, first and foremost,
Mike Bocchetti.
He is your friend, and it benefits him.
Yes.
Oh, it's a retarded gentleman, Richard.
I mean, so unbelievable.
David, are you familiar with Mike Bocchetti?
Hardly.
He is
Mike Bocchetti.
He's a man. He's I believe the term now, if we want to be accurate, he is neurodiverse.
Yes.
He is a man that, like, Artie Lang had him on his podcast out of charity. Like, Jim Norton and Sam Roberts have him on. Like, he can be a funny guy on podcasts, but he's not well. It would be like, to use an Opie and Anthony reference, it would be like if, E-Rock or someone on the staff was in a real serious war with Bobo. And really like, this motherfucker, after everything I've done for him, this guy blew me off and went on Kevin Brennan's show. Let's finish out the clip here, because Richard thinks like, oh, this is a peer in comedy. And the fact that John believes that
big
speaks
reveal
volumes.
coming.
It's got to be Chris Rock. It has to be.
Oh, you still don't think that the name? No, the name has been revealed. It's Mike Bocchetti.
That can't be. He was just joking.
And we'll see. I'm telling you.
And the fact that you literally got him started, and now he's doing
Richard
something.
just believes it.
Richard is just blind loyalty. If it was a person, it's
For those of you that don't know Mike Bocchetti, he lived with his mother. I don't know if his mother's still with us. He lived with his mother well into his 60s because he's not, a fully functioning adult. And now I've heard lives in like a government assisted housing. Which hey, like, all credit to Mike Bocchetti. He goes out and lives his life and does comedy. This is not bashing Mike Bocchetti by any means. It's saying that John is above nobody.
not a single person.
Of all of the opportunity, I finally found, there are other people named Michael. It's difficult actually to even find a picture of this guy. I found him. I recognize him. Of course, John, this is not somebody you should feel self-conscious about. This is a charity act, and you should move on with your life. You did a great thing for this man.
You would think so, right? This is like in John's mind, he's a big star. So this is like if Howard, like behind the scenes even, not for a bit on air or anything, if Howard was like furious with Beetlejuice. You know what I mean? Where he's like, I gave this guy everything, and now he's making TikToks? How dare he? This guy that can't read. Sorry, is there more to this clip?
Yes. There's
Let's finish it up.
20 seconds left.
When that ends, he comes right back to you. Once again, he is a friend when it benefits him. And the truth is, that means he's not really a friend at all.
Yeah, and I just thought that you being in the military on midget because you guys are loyal to each other, and this guy has no loyalty.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is that fair weather friends don't mean they're not
He's
friends.
a coward.
He's a coward. He's mentally unwell, John.
What is he afraid of?
That's a great point. Yeah, how is he a coward?
He's afraid of ghosts.
But yes, I think that's actually true.
I think he followed Stuttering John on stage. That's a little bit of a risk.
Yeah, what is Mike Bocchetti like? How is he a coward? Is he afraid that John is going to? I don't know. What in this context? What would coward even mean? Who's he afraid of?
He's afraid of being lumped in with Stuttering John. Is what it is.
That really says a lot. That Mike Bocchetti, who again seems like a terrifically nice guy, but isn't like all there. Even he says, "Oh, maybe I shouldn't tie my wagon to Stuttering John."
His answer to John was so honest. Why didn't you invite me back? Or whatever the dispute was, he said, I'm embarrassed. Almost saying, I'm embarrassed that we worked together once.
I don't want anything to do with you, John. Leave me alone, please. Like it was really sad when I was like, and this is where I think even Carl started to say that Stuttering John has jumped the shark a little bit. There's plenty that I find interesting still, believe me. And I a couple weeks ago I said Stuttering John is nicotine or sugar. Like, I'm going to keep going back to him. But there is an element of like, you're fighting with Mike Bocchetti now? What are you doing? Get a hold of yourself, John.
If he didn't say Artie Lang, I would have literally been Coleman on a live stream, never guessing.
Just naming.
Yeah.
Jim Davidson, Jim Dwight, Silvio.
Ralphie May was my next guess.
Pablo Francisco.
Yeah, any of these were better guesses than Mike Bocchetti. And again, that's not to shit on Mike Bocchetti. It's just like, John, he's a perfect. It's like you might as well be at war with a puppy. This puppy ran over to my neighbor and started giving him sweet kisses. And I said, that's my special kissy time.
Well, John, that's called a fair weather dog.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Richard.
He gives great advice, that Richard.
Speaking of Richard, though, we finally got more of them.
Yeah, so we haven't checked in on the Army Major in a while, and I will say it's sad in the sense he's not going to battle with the chat as much. That does bum me out. So there's not as much to pull from, unfortunately, but there are glimpses of the Richard that we know and love. So hopefully I found a couple. I just wanted to give you guys a refresher course in what's going on with the Army Major, because it's a big year for him. It's an election year, and it was a big week. Super Tuesday was this week. We had the State of the Union, So it's a big time for Richard. So let's check in and see what he's talking about.
If you think that abortion is the only thing that they're trying to take away from you women, you need to wake your asses up. They're just seeing how much they can take before you start raising up. And they're going to take until you do. So you better wake up. You better smarten up. You better stop voting Republican. All you friggin' blonde-headed, blue-eyed Karens, the friggin' Make America Great Again hat, you stupid women are absolutely destroying our country because you're not smart enough to see, because you're too friggin' racist to see that the person that you are supporting is nothing more than a racist.
I feel attacked by a friend right now.
Now, David, are you familiar with the term mansplaining?
I'm aware of the term misogyny. I know that much.
You think it might fit to be like, you dumb bitches?
Saying, what have you done?
Don't you ladies know what's good for you?
Dude,
I love Richard.
It'd be so funny because, like, if he was in Trump's cabinet, he'd be like the Secretary of Defense. He'd just start bombing like right-wing cities.
Is he running for anything, or is he just speaking his mind?
I'm glad you asked, David. I don't have the clip, but he did say he will be running for office again. Not this election.
Nice.
But at some point, he's going to get back in the game. He said that.
Did he say the location, or is he still picking that out?
He moved to North Carolina, so I would guess there, but I'm not sure. But
great for him. I can't wait for those debates.
Yeah, very, very exciting.
I don't like the title of this next clip because I've listened to it.
What do you mean?
Message to Craig.
Yeah. Well, I hope your ears are open.
Okay, I'm trying to find my place. Yeah. If you are still a Trump supporter at this time, you are either racist or just not a good person. Most likely, you're both. You're racist and you're a shitty person. Yeah, that's a fact.
Richard, I thought we were friends, man.
You hear that, Craig?
I thought we were friends.
He's abandoned. Remember when we had him on and he's like, listen, I don't care what your beliefs are. We just disagree.
We weren't in election season. Now he's hulking up.
He's in battle mode.
Yeah. His Thor hammer's in his hands now.
He's lost any sense. And what's weird is, and we like Richard here, as you know. I hope he takes this all in good stride. I think we could poke fun at our buddy. But what's weird is, like, he talks as if he's convincing people. He's like, oh, you Trump supporters watching my show. And like, I'm not a right winger. I'm the furthest right guy watching that. And it's for clips,
Right.
Like, I think he's kind of preaching to the choir here a little bit. That's what I worry about with Richard.
Next we have him just talking about the worst people.
Okay. Well, I mean, I thought we just learned who the worst people are, but he's going to make it crystal clear for us. It's not just Craig.
I'm trying to draw a line here. It's women, and then it's Trump supporters, and now it's next.
Yeah, who could be worse than that?
Make no mistake about it, folks. If Donald Trump is elevated and he wins the election against Joe Biden, I'm going to tell you, folks, We are on our way out. Democracy be damned. Dictatorship, prepare yourself, folks. Prepare yourself. And all you poor dumbasses that keep donating to a person who says he has billions of dollars, you fucking morons. You people are the worst people ever. The worst people ever. You continue to support this asshole who literally is basically making our democracy hang in the balance. But
this clip, by the way, is like when you're watching like it's like when you're watching a great pitcher in the early innings, like he's kind of he's gearing up, he's giving up a couple hits, and you're like, that guy's off his game today. And then he has like 2 or 3 innings where he just strikes out the side.
Right.
Like he's gearing up to something.
Because Donald Trump may say a curse word or something, you're the ones in the crowd going, he just said bullshit. You're a fucking child. You are children. And you don't even friggin' know it. You're children playing adults. And it's really time for some of you people to wake your asses up and educate yourself. Do a little bit of research. Read a fucking book.
I don't like how he started that by saying, you poor people.
Well, Richard loses sight sometimes of the Democratic Party's message, I think.
You see that?
He sometimes says, you poor shit-kicking hillbillies. Don't you see we're trying to help you?
This next clip's just called Poopy Pants.
Well, this is an accusation, and I'm glad he's friends with a legal mind like Stuttering John, because you might need help. This is an accusation. I'm not sure if it's 100% true. I have not heard it before, but Richard's a friend of mine, and I'm willing to take him at his word. I'd be curious to hear what you think of this, David, because you're a guy that deals in facts, and I'm not sure if that's what we're dealing with here.
According to a new book by author Katie Rogers called American Woman, reveals that Donald Trump and Melania were at each other's throats the entire time that they were in the White House. You do know that Melania doesn't love Donald Trump. You do know that she's not attracted to Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a fat turd who wears more makeup than she does. He also, for them to get naked, he has to de-diaper himself. So let that sink in. And oh, by the way, if you don't think that Donald Trump wears a diaper, look at any photograph where he's sitting down.
Hold on a second. Can I just say how great it is? And this is why Richard should be the voice of the Democratic Party, I think.
Yeah.
Because I think you need someone like this. Like his show, and by the way, his show's gotten a little more, like he has more views, not a crazy amount, but he has more views than he had a couple months ago. So I hope people are finding Richard, because you kind of need that. Like people think of the libs as pussies. You need someone like John who's going to bring it down to a grade school level and say, Donald Trump poops his pants.
This is what they need to be playing at airports.
I agree, yeah. All right, so let's hear more accusations.
Believe me, he ain't packing like that. That's what it looks like when you went.
By the way, my favorite thing about Richard is, so everyone talks about Joe Biden and his dementia.
Yeah.
So the name of this episode was like #Dementia Dawn. Like, anything that happens with Biden, he's like, oh no, Trump did it.
No, he did. Yeah, literally, he's like, no, Donald Trump fell off a bicycle. Like he's legitimately like, no, Biden didn't do that. It was Trump.
It was Trump. I saw it. In Delaware, it was Trump.
A diaper. So make no mistake about it. Donald Trump's ability to entice her went away when he started losing all of his money. The only reason why she married his raggedy ass is for money. That's a fact. And she's the shitty first lady. Worst first lady ever. Be best.
I mean, come on.
Meow.
Come on now. That's not true.
He poops his pants.
She was the worst first lady. She was the best.
Well, I'm not going to get into ranking first ladies. I can't think of something I'd give less of a fuck about. But
all right, first we got Melania. Second, we got Jackie O.
Oh, I see where you're going.
Exactly.
Third, Lady Bird Johnson.
You know, one thing you could say about Trump, but there's a lot of things you could say about Trump. One thing you can't say is that on a trip back from Israel, he was accused from pooping himself.
Oh, is that right? Oh, that is true. You're right about that.
Can't say that about Donald Trump. You could say that about some other people, but you know, I try not to get too political.
I like political, David. Are you do you make your vote public, David?
Well, that's what I was
reveal your
curious about
political
Craig. He seems very outspoken, and it struck me as strange. Generally, people with his type of proclivity don't lean that direction.
Hey,
Oh, that you think like people in the maps community.
Certainly, I mean, even that term is generally very politically charged.
this
That's
is
true.
bullshit.
No,
Hey, I thought we were
hey,
friends.
Craig, take a compliment. You're more woke than you seem.
I thought we were friends.
It's not what we, you know, it's just you're more interesting, I suppose. You can't be judged on first glance.
That's a good point, David. Yeah, there are more layers to you than meet the eye. That's a feather in your cap.
I thought we were friends.
You're
Speaking
perfectly,
of caps,
yeah.
Don't. I'm not wearing one. I get it.
Why? Why not? Why do you do that to people?
Because I look fine. I look fine.
Says who? Literally, no one has ever commented that.
There's only one person that matters, Mike. It's fine.
But is this really a surprise? How many times did she wave his hand off when he tried to hold her hand in public? All the time.
That is a fact.
been there.
Okay, all right. Richard's dealing. You've been there, David?
Oh, of course.
Yeah. What's your dating history like?
Oh, who knows?
I mean, you?
You do.
Right.
All right, we'll move on.
Did y'all see when he was trying to get into the vehicle after her mother's funeral and she gave him this mean friggin' look and he dropped his head, turned around and went and got in another vehicle because she didn't want to ride with him.
You know, it's for the best. Your mom, a little bit of a bitch.
Melania. Guess who I jerked off to last night?
Melania, you missing any panties from your dresser? It wasn't me.
All right, I think this is where I think Richard ramps up here.
Because it stinks after sitting next to this friggin' turd. She probably don't like the way he smells because we all know that he shits himself multiple times a day.
We all know.
As it's been reported.
Craig, you follow this stuff more than I do. Do we all know that?
No. Now, he could say something like he'll drive his golf cart on the green at a golf course, which is a no-no. Like, you could say that kind of stuff.
Sure. Well, Richard said, as we all know, the former president poops himself multiple times a day.
It's liquid shits.
As we all know, this man stinks like shit. He's got duty running down his legs.
Working around him that have come out and said, good Lord, it's like someone swinging a sack of assholes around. Unwashed ones.
Hold on, go back. I want to hear. He makes a very interesting qualification. He goes, smells like someone's swinging a sack of assholes around. But that wasn't enough for Richard. He has a qualifier here that's very important.
She probably don't like the way he smells because we all know that he shits himself multiple times a day. And there are countless people that talk about working around him that have come out and said, good Lord, it's like someone swinging a sack of assholes around. Unwashed ones.
And it's a moldy sack, too. It's been sitting outside for days.
In the sun, all kinds of. The idea that he's like, hey, I just said this guy smells like a sack of assholes, but that doesn't really drive home the point I'm trying to make. He yell, unwashed ones!
Politically correct way to say dirty, too.
Like, that was with the same passion that John is trying to get Keanu to like him again. Like, that's the same, like, I got nowhere else to go.
So I'm in the hotel room and I see a bottle of Jergens.
Unwashed ones. Yeah, I haven't heard that report, but I thought it was interesting that Richard said countless people say that he smells like a sack of unwashed assholes.
So there was a picture one time where it looked like Trump was wearing a diaper.
Okay.
One picture from like years ago, and I think that's what he's hung up on.
Yeah, but now the smelling like sack of assholes, has that been out there?
No, I'm gonna
Is that Richard going rogue?
He probably smells amazing, like all hair products and like all stuff like that.
I've never heard a story where he doesn't give an amazing first impression.
Right.
That's true. He is again much like Howard, kind of a charming guy. That Donald.
I'm sure I think he wrote the book on first impressions.
Well, some people think it's The Rock, but Donald Trump is actually the people's champion.
It was very funny. I was listening to John. I had to listen to the political stuff to find that clip we played earlier from John's show.
Mhm.
I was hoping for a Richard meltdown mostly, but John said something about Donald Trump. He goes, this guy has never succeeded at anything he's done. I was like, John, he was say what you want about his, maybe he was a failure as a president, if you want to say that. He's the president of the United States.
He's had almost the same life as Forrest Gump.
Yeah,
Exactly.
he's had an incredible amount of success.
This hasn't happened in a while, so I'm glad this is our last Ojeda clip.
Okay.
Great transitions. We haven't had one like this in a while.
Oh yeah, then Ojetta's the king of the transition, and David's a radio pro. So I was kind of interested to see what David thought about this because he has great transitions on David Collins' 30-minute half-hour show.
She don't give a shit about him. She slept her way to the bottom. Worst first lady ever, but make no mistake about it, she was perfect for the worst president ever, and that is a fact. Now let's check out what kind of memes that John's got for us. Hunter's laptop! Hunter's laptop!
I've missed that sound.
That was jarring.
So much.
I just like she was the first lady, the worst first lady ever, married to that pig. Now let's see what kind of memes John's got for us.
He's got me.
Oh, he's the king of broadcasting.
Is that background in unfurled football too? I didn't understand the roadkill describing the memes background. That's a strange picture.
What does it say there? Hunter's last call.
Hunter's laptop.
Oh,
So it's that's like a, one of these conservative pieces of shit crowing about Hunter's laptop. You see,
yes.
a guy like you, Craig.
Yeah, I mean,
Although, as David pointed out, a guy not so much like you. I'm glad David pointed that out. That's good for your image, I think. Hey, I think the kids might start to like you more, Craig. Huh?
I don't appreciate this attack from David.
They actually say it's interesting. The political realignment that's happening these days are less generational and strangely somewhat gender based. So you're finding some of the trends.
That's an interesting point, David. You saying like males are more conservative?
Well, exactly. That's the most recent study. All to say is that your political leanings will not benefit with children either way.
Oh, okay. That's good to know. Craig, jot that down for yourself.
Wrote it down. We got this.
Good,
Just be
good,
yourself.
Good. All right, David, I appreciate you hanging on with us for a long time here. Do you mind sticking around for one more segment?
That's great.
Because I wanted. Do you remember? I think we showed you our friend G.D. Fenderson.
Right.
So I learned just this morning.
Did you get to the bottom of the 6 down situation?
No, we never figured that out. There have been a lot of theories
I see.
in the comments, but no one quite nailed it, I don't think. But we did. I did find out something this morning. We do this show every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. Check it out live if you'd like. And I learned something that we have some competition now. I didn't know this. There's another show that goes live on Sunday mornings.
Is this it?
It sure is.
Oh, we have to pop in live once in a while.